Yo, 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 what it do? What it be, yo? It's your boy, Agent A-N-T, repping the Spell Block Agency. And this is a Apex Legendary commentary. And today we gonna be talking about Guy Fawkes and the Gunpowder Plot. So, before I get into the Gunpowder Plot, which is a more known event in British history, and it even has a holiday and the memorable phrase remember the 5th of November attached to it. But it's not a well-known event in America, and I know with the sudden reemergence of Anonymous and protests all over the country protesting police brutality, they've seen some protesters don the Guy Fawkes mask, made famous by the movie V for Vendetta, which is a great movie about overthrowing a tyrannical government. But the real Guy Fawkes and the plot to blow up Parliament are prime examples of how far people that are mistreated by their own government are willing to go just to see the violence and unfounded hatred of their people end. So, like I said, before I get into the Gunpowder Plot, let's talk about Guy Fawkes, whose likeness has always been used as a symbol against government oppression, especially after V for Vendetta gained a cult following and the hacktivist group Anonymous adopted the famous David Lloyd illustration as the logo for their group. So, Guy Fawkes and his likeness has been used throughout history to symbolize the fight against government oppression. But who was Guy Fawkes the man, and why is he a symbol of resistance? So, Guy Fawkes was born in 1570 in York, and he was raised as a Protestant during the time when Queen Elizabeth was pretty much reforming Catholicism into Protestantism. So, some speculate he was baptized Catholic on April 16th, 1570, which would place his birthday at April 13th. However, his mother didn't start practicing Catholicism until she remarried a Catholic man after Fawkes' father died when he was 8 years old, and she didn't really remarry until a few years after Guy's dad died. So it's possible he wasn't baptized Catholic until, he was a tween or possibly his early teen years. So after Queen Elizabeth died, King James took the throne, and not the King James that has his own version of the Bible, but another King James. And this King James didn't really have a problem with Catholics, but Parliament in general did. So when King James wasn't really oppressing Catholics and making and enforcing laws against Catholics, Parliament pretty much called him out on it. So he started making and enforcing harsh laws again against Catholics that Queen Elizabeth had already started. So during this time, Guy Fawkes had went to war for England in the 80 Years' War, and he and his commanding officer and a lot of his comrades switched sides and began to fight for Spain. And he even began to be called Guido, which he, was a Spanish version of his name. So after Catholics had this false belief they wouldn't be oppressed anymore, only to be oppressed even harder, some of them decided to take action. Now, Robert Catesby, he was the ringleader of the Gunpowder Plot. He originally tried to enlist the help of the Spanish. However, Spain had really no interest in helping Catholics in England in any way. They were more focused on improving their situation, and they were trying to improve, the problems they had with the British government as it was, and trying to improve those relations. So the main reason why King James really started to oppress Catholics again was because one of his spies had discovered that Queen Anne had been sent a rosary from the Pope, and from then on he kind of renounced the papacy, papacy. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm not Catholic, I'm sorry, but he ordered all the Catholic priests and Jesuits to leave the country and all that. So they were pretty much like quarantined, pretty much, but they weren't sick. They were just Catholic. But the other plots to kill King James were discovered too, such as the by plot and the main plot. And yeah, they had really shitty code names back then, but some of the conspirators were executed and some were surprisingly pardoned because King James didn't want to start his reign. He didn't want to have a bloody reign. He didn't want to kill too many people within, the first couple years or even months of his reign. So King James, after pretty much renouncing, the papacy and, the Pope and that whole thing in Spain, that Catholic side of it, he tried to establish a relationship with Scotland by placing Scottish nobles in Parliament, which didn't sit well with really anyone in England at all. Not Parliament, not, Protestant Catholics, not Catholics that were, practicing the original Catholicism, with the Pope, which was still really kind of popular in England. But if you didn't want to pay taxes or have, your house raided by British, military and shit like that to see if you were holding any Catholic memorabilia or, paraphernalia like that, then they would tax you for it. But King James kind of had to quell the unrest with everything going on by giving a speech claiming to want unity between Catholics and Protestants. However, on April 24th, 1605, a bill was introduced to Parliament that pretty much threatened to outlaw all followers of the Roman Catholic Church. Thus, Robert Catesby, after being denied help from Spain, had recruited Thomas Percy, Thomas Winter, and John Wright, who were all cousins. They were all related. So then he was introduced to Guy Fawkes after his servant Thomas Bates overheard the plot. So his servant joined the cause kind of accidentally. He was like, you know too much. You either join us or we got to kill you, folks. So there was that. Guy Fawkes was down with it. They met a man named Robert Keyes. Thomas Winter's brother Robert joined the cause. John Grant and John Wright's brother Christopher joined the cause. So after they joined, Ambrose Rookwood, Francis Tresham, and finally Everard Digby were the last three people to be brought in on the plot. So the plan was to buy a house near Parliament, then dig a tunnel leading from the house that they bought to the House of the Lords, store gunpowder under the House of the Lords, and blow up Parliament while King James and all the Protestant leaders were there. And they were all set to carry out the plan until they were betrayed. Someone sent a letter to William Parker, 4th Baron of Monteagle or whatever, basically warning them that something bad was going to happen to Parliament. They didn't really specify what was going to happen. They were like, something's going to happen to Parliament. Y'all got to, don't go to Parliament on this day. So on November 4th, the king had people search the building, where they found Guy Fawkes stacking wood to hide almost 40 barrels of gunpowder. And when they asked him what he was doing, he said he was working for his lord, Thomas Percy, which the king knew Percy was kind of like a Catholic agitator, so he had them search the building again the next day, and they found Guy Fawkes again. And this time they found the explosives, and Fawkes was arrested, and Guy originally used the alias John Johnson when he was captured. So right when he was captured, originally he wasn't giving up no names. He was like, he already had given him Thomas Percy's name, which was, kind of a mistake. But he made the mistake of coming back the next day. They were like, fuck it. Like, we're going to try and carry it out. Anyways, so they found Guy again. They captured him. They pretty much found all the barrels. And from that point, the they were going to torture him and pretty much find out anything, about the plot, because it was pretty much ruined at this point. So like I said, they tortured Fawkes until he gave up names. Then the rest of the conspirators were rounded up. Catesby and a few others tried to escape with some extra gunpowder they had, but somehow the gunpowder they had sparked and they lit the men on fire. And after they were caught, on fire or whatever, they were killed anyways. They were beheaded. And I believe Catesby survived, or they kept him alive for a minute, only to, have him killed later on as well. So Fawkes and the other conspirators were hanged, drawn, and quartered, which brought an end to the plot to blow up Parliament. And looking back on it, had they succeeded, Catholics would have probably gotten more oppressed, since they didn't have a unified rebellion or any support from Catholics outside of England. So they weren't united on the home front, and they didn't really have any help on the outside either. So them actually carrying out the plot to blow up Parliament probably would have made life a lot harder for Catholics, but that's just purely speculation, because who knows, if they blow up Parliament, King and all them is dead, the Catholics get blamed for it, this and that. England is pretty much without a ruler. What happens to Catholics right then and there? Who knows? Who knows what happens to Protestantism? Whether or not the next leader carries that out, who knows? It's a lot of speculation. But in the aftermath, Guy Fawkes became a household name. And Guy Fawkes Day is celebrated to this day in England with bonfires and fireworks, and he's become a symbol for fighting tyranny, with Anonymous adopting his likeness as their symbol, plus the whole V for Vendetta of getting a cult following, and it's being a movie about overthrowing a futuristic, tyrannical, almost kind of like a Big Brother. Because 1984, I believe, was based in England too, so it's kind of like a Big Brother type government in a sense. But there were no portraits drawn of Guy Fawkes during his lifetime, like Jesus and Christopher Columbus. We don't know what he looks like at all. We don't, we have descriptions. We knew he had red hair. They described him as, athletic, burly, had a beard, the mustache, all that. But, we really don't know for sure if that's, that was his everyday look, what he looked like throughout his life or anything like that. So, remember, the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Guy Fawkes and his companions did this scheme contrive to blow up the king and parliament all up alive. 70 barrels laid below to prove old England's overthrow, but by God's providence him they catch with a dark lantern lighting a match. So yeah, that's the story. That's the real, pretty much story of Guy Fawkes and the Parliament plot to blow up the House of Lords. And man, if they would have succeeded, who knows what would have happened. Like I said, a lot of speculation. Some people say it would have made the Catholics more oppressed, but it's, you never know with shit like that. You never know what can unite people and what's going to, unite the people and get them on the same page. Something like that could be like, oh, these guys were willing to do that for us. Like, So, yeah, it could have made life harder for sure because, if any members of parliament survived. But really the whole thing, why they didn't go through with it sooner or why they didn't enact it before was because there was a plague going around, much like today, and Parliament was suspended or whatever. So their first day back was going to be the 5th of November. So they had plotted all that time, and really, even on that day, there were going to be some Roman Catholic leaders in Parliament to, kind of discuss shit, with, religion and shit like that. But that was one of their main hang-ups was, do we blow these guys up, kill a few for, maybe to save 1,000, or do we, let these people know, these Roman Catholic leaders know, hey, there might be something going on. And they never really decided on it, but somehow, some way, somebody from the plot sent a letter to, the Duke of Monteagle or whatever, and it just blew the whole thing up. Because the Duke of Monteagle snitched, or somebody that was around there snitched, or something like that. And yeah, that's why you just gotta do it, like Nike, kind of. But hope y'all enjoyed the video. Hope y'all enjoyed the primo info and all that. Got more hot content dropping, all that little shit stopping, big things popping, all that. So be safe out there, y'all. Don't get smoked. Leave a comment, on some of the other, maybe some other historical figures I should cover. I'm thinking about maybe doing Joan of Arc or some, people like that. So there's that. I got, the War in Chirac video just dropped. Go peep that. I dropped a lot of content this week, so go peep all that. Got more content being written and edited and all that. I'm on my A game right now, so stay tuned, like I be saying. So, yeah, like the video, comment, like I said, go ahead and subscribe, ring the damn bell so you don't miss none of that hot content I got dropping. Few minutes left in this video. I'm gonna go ahead and let it ride out though. I almost took this dub, but top 2, top 5 never hurt nobody. Got my rank up, but yeah, be safe, don't get smoked out there, y'all. And I'm out. Peace.
Y'all can cut right and then take left. Fuck again, I'm out.
You're gonna pop out.
Pop out the corner. The last. Just keep going down until y'all get some base.
There's a care package over here. Oh, yep, for sure. Yep.
That shit's only a certain distance.
Right in the distance we need. One's on top.
There's two. Both guns reloaded? Circles to the left.
Jesus Christ. You need a med kit, G?
You need some help?
Oh, yep.
I think it's in the thing. So you get zip lines across and shit top. Oh. At least we know it's a Pathfinder crypto. You throw your ulti to distract them, disarray or whatever. Yeah, I've been fucking
Fucking hell.
Bro, GG's, bro. We was that close with two. Bro, fucking say that shit. Bro, no cap, bro. I might add you, no key.